Ty Bartellin with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we head to our friends over at the Howland Tigers with their boys basketball head coach, one of my men, Dan Bubon. I love talking to this guy each and every year. Dan, how we doing today, man?
Can't complain, man. The season is sneaking up on us like it does every year.
I know, man. I told you, I feel like these years are getting quicker as they approach. It's practice season right now. I don't know if boys are really able to get so much scrimmages on hand so far. I'm sure you guys have a couple scheduled, if not. But how are things going right now? What has stood out to you, and what are you seeing from the Tigers?
Actually, better than anticipated so far. We did have our first scrimmage Saturday against Jefferson, who's got a nice team. They returned a lot from last year, and we did pretty well. We were laughing afterwards because two of the last 3 years we've been to the district final, and we scrimmaged Jefferson every year. And the 2 years we've been in the district final, they just ripped us in the scrimmage both times. Um, and this year, us being so young and not knowing what to expect, I was pretty pleased with how we played. So hopefully we can build on that.
The one thing I've always noticed about Highland Tigers basketball is it feels like there's never really been a drop off. You guys have always stayed consistently successful in some moderation every single year. And I mean, you got to attribute that to just feeding it in from younger levels into it. These younger kids are stepping up. How are you guys able to do it? How are you guys able to keep those feeder programs strong and keep the sport of basketball strong in the Highland community?
You know what? Nowadays, I question that because our numbers are lower this year at the high school level. Sometimes that's just certain classes don't have a lot of
Mhm.
kids who want to play basketball. I mean that ebbs and flows a little bit, but we do. Our elementary does have a lot of kids that like to play. Unfortunately, now it seems that kids want to get into middle school or high school and start to specialize in the sports more than they used to, which I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, my son's playing for us now, and I encourage him to play whatever he wants, as much as he wants. You're only in high school once, but as far as us being competitive, I always say in our sport, it's not like football where you need, 15, 20 kids. Like, if you give me three pretty good basketball players, we're going to be competitive. You don't need a ton of kids, and we do generally always have hard nosed kids that like to play. So we've always hung our hat on defense. So as long as you play defense, don't turn the ball over, you're going to be in games. And we were talking last night, other than COVID year, and the COVID year was so weird. And our best kid got hurt right in the middle of a stretch where we were playing like 15 games in 28 days. So we had no way to adjust. Like we got ripped for a little while there. But other than that, we have been pretty darn competitive.
When you talk about this team, too, without further ado, give us a little meet the team segment. Who's going to be on the floor a lot for the Tigers? Who's getting significant minutes this year for you?
Well, we only have two seniors, and they're two of our returners. Anthony Sheffo will definitely be our leader. He started every game as a junior last year, averaged about six a game. Always guarded the best player on the other team. You're on the floor with four other seniors. Those are the guys taking the majority of the shots. Anthony scored where he could, but he hung his hat on defense last year. This year, he'll be looked at to score more. He has the ability to score more. Just didn't get many looks last year. Luca Franzalio, who was the quarterback of the football team, our other senior, he was our sixth man last year. He just gives us a little bit of everything. He's a great defender. He understands our offense. He gets shots here and there. He handled the ball really good on defense. So those two will be solid. After that, the only two returners that played at all last year were my son, Stephen Bubon, averaged about 2.5 points as a sophomore. And then Frank Hozo averaged a little over a point as a sophomore. Tough, hard nosed kid, another football player. But after those four, which again combined, you're talking not even 10 points a game or around 10, 11 points a game returning, everyone else is new. And it's a nice mix. It's four juniors and four sophomores. The juniors being Luca Naples, Gavin Swagger, Wesley Fee, and Angelo Melodona. And then our sophomores, who now last year as freshmen, our freshman team won the AAC, which is the first time ever probably that we won the AAC in the upper tier, um, and won 19 games as freshmen last year. So these four did play some JV minutes last year, which was Darren Douglas, Jackson Mickle, Carter Saul, and Isaiah Burgess, and they'll be in the mix. So the four returners, the four juniors, the four sophomores, that's 12 kids. You're not going to play 12 kids every game, but there's not a lot of gap between those 12. So it makes for nice competitive practices. It makes for guys really not relaxing and always fighting and trying to get better. So that mix I like. Our lack of size, I don't love. We're not big, and the lack of experience. I just hope we can overcome that. I don't know that that means as much as it used to. I'm hoping not because we don't have a ton of experience.
Well, I think it was you who talked about it last year too. How every basketball season is just a 1,000 or 10,000 piece puzzle that you always just kind of just have to put it together as the season goes along. When we talk about this team in particular too, obviously the identity of what you think it might be might change over the season. But what do you think the identity of this team is going to be? What do you think those strengths are that you're going to have to hang your hat on?
Well, I know we're a better shooting team than we've been. If I go back and look at all my interviews over the past few years, it's always just been me lamenting about our lack of shot making. Like we play so hard, we're in a game. Boy, just make a shot, make a shot, make a shot. The other day in the scrimmage, we made 7 threes in a row. 7 threes is like a 4 game stretch for us the last few years. So I hope that carries on. Shooting, no matter how good of a shooter you are, you're not going to have it there every single game. But I think we'll be a better shooting team. I like the way we share the ball. All the kids are athletic. I just worry on the other end. What we've been good at for a good stretch now is being tough and defensive minded, and I just hope that these kids can improve quickly in that area. That's where having experience and understanding all the little details about how to guard, those are the biggest things I worry about. Because if we slack off there, I don't know that we have enough scoring to make up for it. So we've this week we've just been really hard on defense and practice and trying to preach all those little things that we've been good at the last few years. Um, Hopefully that carries over because I do think this group can score. I do think they can get out and run and maybe be a little more entertaining than we have in the past. Um, as we like to sometimes play 1990s Knicks versus Heat bloodbaths, but we'll see. That all plays itself out. Until you play for real, you don't know. I'm just sitting here guessing. I'm a pretty good guesser because I've been doing this for 30 years, but you don't know for sure.
Yeah. Until you get out on the hardwood, right? Until you
Yep.
get that opening tip off, you don't really know. But I mean, you play in one of the toughest, smaller conferences in the area. AAC might only have 5 teams, but they are mighty teams, and it looks like, to me at least this year, just looking at all the teams, this might be a wide open conference, even more wide open this year than maybe perhaps it was last year too, for anyone to take. When you look at the conference this year too, I gotta feel like you guys have a solid shot at having that top spot.
Well, we're always going to shoot for it. I mean, it's there's such tough games. There are 8 really physical tough games you're going to have, and every year, boy, you can look back. Like last year, we finished 3-5 in the conference, but I look at our 5 losses. Both games with Canfield, we were up 3 at halftime. Both games with Harding were tied with 2 minutes to go. We lose all 4 of those, and then our game at Fitch was one of the oddest games last year. We were down 20 at the start of the fourth quarter, and with 2 minutes to go, we had a shot in the air to take the lead that we missed. But so I mean, literally with a few bounces here and there, we could have won every one of those games. But the games that we won, and we were lucky to beat Boardman. We've been by a point the second time, and they kind of struggled last year. But so there's no easy win. The losses are all tough. So you're just in there fighting and trying. Yeah, the programs are so solid. They're never down. They're never down. Even though Boardman's record wasn't good last year, boy, they played everybody tough, and especially in the league, like they know how to guard, they know how to stretch games out and keep it close. So nothing's ever easy. You just take them one at a time. Our biggest thing in the conference is we've never gotten off to a good start. feels like, and in a conference, you only have 8 games. You start out 0-2, it's almost feel like you're done.
Yeah, you're fighting from behind then. Yeah, you're trying to climb uphill
But
then.
yeah, this year we don't have that problem this year because it's very easy for us. Our first 2 conference games are at Harding and at Canfield, who were the 2 best teams in the conference last year. So yeah, no problem. We'll take care of those.
When we talk about the non-conference schedule too, because you only have 8 conference games, it does give you guys an opportunity to open up non-conference. I know you love kind of keeping it local with competition. You think there's plenty of competition locally. What are some of these local games and some of these non-conference games that you're excited for the team to be tested against this year?
Right off the bat, we open up the night before Thanksgiving, which we've never done before. That's you're allowed. That's the first day you're allowed to play this year. So the night before Thanksgiving, we're at Lakeview, which is always a good little local rivalry for us. Next week, we turn right around and go to Poland, which our games with them are always good. And then we go back to that Neshannock tournament that we were at last year, a tip-off tournament, which isn't the first weekend, but the second weekend. So we got 4 in a row on the road to start. Bang, bang, bang. And then we like to play La Brea and Newton Falls inside Trumbull County because Coach Kaiser and Coach Sembeck, I've known those guys for 100 years. Their programs are always so solid and so good. Then later in the year, we have Ursuline, which our games with them have been so tough the last few years. They went to the Final Four last year, and we took them to overtime in the last game of the season. Niles at the end of the year is always a good one. Then we've added some teams in the last few years. South Range, we started playing last year. We got them again. And then this year, because of in football, Howland is joining that EBC. And we're not joining it in all other sports, but we're starting to play some games with those teams. So we're playing West Branch, Alliance, and someone else that slipped my mind right now. But we got like 3 games inside that league that we'll probably start playing a few more of those teams as we go on. So
That's always
get a little different mix.
And that's always a good conference too for basketball. EBC is no pushover either as a basketball conference. When we look at this team this year, I mean, I know you can't do it yourself, but I know your coaching staff doesn't usually change a whole lot. But I want to give you that opportunity, show some love to your coaching staff and some other big names in the Tiger program this year.
Yeah, 9 years strong with these guys. I told them they had a lifetime contract. Apparently, they believed me, so I'll keep rolling with it. Coach Kovac, who used to be the head coach of Brookfield, been with me since day one. Coach Stella, my JV coach, he was with me back at Liberty, and I coached him back at Harding over 20 years ago. So I think he is with me for life. Coach DeSalvo, great guy, was a great player at Liberty. Comes in as our volunteer assistant and helps us out as much as he can. And then on the freshman level, Mike O'Neill, who he's been with us about half the time. Coach Del Toriel was there. He retired. And then Coach O'Neill, who teaches in the building, has been with us the last few years. So those guys are so solid, all great guys with a ton of experience. And then our administration, athletic director, Mr. Simcoe, Andrea Farinack, our athletic director, Mr. Simcoe, our principal, also supportive. I mean, you can't ask for more. Anything you need, they're always there for you. So some places that's not the case. I know I've been lucky, and hopefully it continues for as long as I'm around.
I feel like that consistency also helps in the success that you've been able to see. When you have consistent at the top, you're going to see consistency all the way to the bottom too. I'm a believer of that for sure. Coach, my theme question this year, I always like to have a theme question for all my coaches too. My theme question goes into the lessons the sport of basketball can teach. I know you are a big teacher in the sport of basketball. You've been doing it a long time. I've taught countless young men the sport and how to level up in the sport, but also in life. But I want to know what the biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you.
I always enjoy your questions at the end every year. You got good ones, and you never preview them. So I got to formulate an answer quickly, but I like it. It's good. What does I forgot the question as I said that. So repeat that one more time.
Biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you.
Boy, when you're young, you think you know everything coming into it. Now, I was spoiled young. When I was coaching the JV team at Harding, but we hardly lost. We would win every year. I thought I was so smart, thought I was a genius. It didn't take me till years later to figure out I had way better players than a lot of other teams we were playing. So it teaches you that a lot of times you fail, okay, and it's okay. Like, and you just have to take what happened, learn from it, and continue on. And sometimes it's that grind that, well, you don't understand when you're young. Like, I think a lot of people now are getting out. They get out of coaching so fast. They don't have success early, and they want to just give it up. This thing is tough, and there are times you just got to grind through and figure things out. Boy, and I go back to that COVID year when our best kid got hurt, and we couldn't score a basket for a week. I was trying offenses I'd never heard of before, and just researching stuff online and say, what does this team run? What does this team run? How do they score? And you learn a lot that way. You do, and that was 3-4 years ago. But this year, at some point in the year, I may pull out like a little nugget I learned that year and need to incorporate it here. So it's just never giving up, never scared to try things, and always just keep grinding on. Those are the biggest things for me.
You feel like you've learned more from your losses than your wins over the years?
No question about it. You remember them more, and you learn a lot from them. There's no doubt about it. I think it was Hubie Brown that I heard this quote years ago. I never understood it when he started. He said, when you take your first coaching job, hope that you lose, because you'll learn so much and you'll become a better coach in the long run. And he's kind of right. I was kind of the opposite. I had a lot of success early, thought I was a genius. And then my first head coaching job at Champion, we were 0-15 to start that first year. I learned a hell of a lot. I really did. We hung in, and it did turn around eventually. So those are the biggest things.
It's those early years that shaped you, man, and made you the legend you are in the coaching community
At
today.
least in my own mind, for sure, no doubt.
One of my final questions for you, Coach. Like you said, you guys are opening up at Lakeview day before Thanksgiving, and that's kind of the thing. Basketball always reminds me of Thanksgiving, at least in the high school level, because boys and girls basketball always starts right around that time. So I want you to shout out the Howland community, let them know why they need to support this team this year, but also in the same breath, shout out your favorite Thanksgiving Day dish.
That's another. I like that. Okay. Um, I think will be exciting. I think you'll come and watch this team, and I really think you're like, man, no, they're not big, but they play hard, and they get up and down the court. And I think we'll fire up a few more shots this year than we normally do. So that'll be a little interesting change. So I think will be fun to watch. Now, Thanksgiving, I'm not a big turkey fan, but if you put enough gravy on it, I'll sit there and smash that turkey down, no question about it. I like the side dishes, and honestly, the one I like that no one else likes that much is that green bean casserole with the I don't know what's that, cream mushroom soup in it or whatever. I enjoy that. That's a winner.
Hey, you're the
else
first.
likes all the other stuff.
You're the first vote for green bean casserole. We've gotten a ton for stuffing too. My wife makes a green bean casserole every year, so she's probably gonna love that vote.
There you go.
Getting some love, Coach. I'm excited to see you. I think I'm gonna be out there pretty early on in the season. I'm gonna catch you guys early. I know I'm gonna be out there at least once, twice, couple times to see you at least on the hardwood. I'm excited to see this team. I'm excited to see the young guys, because when there's a lot of young guys for a team fighting for some positioning, fighting for that spot, it makes a very hungry group. So I'm excited to see what this hungry group of Tigers looks like on the floor.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. We appreciate you guys. I'll tell you what, you make my Friday nights more interesting now. I used to go to football games every Friday for years. Now that I can sit home and watch it on YSN, I just flip through the games. It's great. Don't have to go out and be cold.
I know we try to help you guys out for the ones that want to kind of stay bundled up too. We're excited to have you guys streaming on YSN for another year, and I can't wait to see you out in the hardwood, Coach.
All right, looking forward to it.
First edition of Coach's Corner with Dan Bubon from the Howland Tigers basketball team.